All right, I think we are live. Are we
Hey,
live,
Tony.
Guillermo?
We are live.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. Tony Martinez here. And on behalf of Blue Halo, I want to officially welcome you to our virtual Veterans Trivia Night. Now, before we dive in, let's kick things off with a quick check in. If you're live right now in the chat, I want you to drop in the chat where you're tuning in from tonight. In the RSVP list, we had a lot of folks joining from all over, and we'd love to see where this community is showing up from today. So, for those that for those that I haven't met yet, again, I'm Tony Martinez. I have been technical recruiting for the last 15 years. It's crazy, time flies. With a huge portion of that spent in the cleared space, supporting DoD and Intel programs across the country. And while I haven't worn the uniform myself, my family is deep in the military. So you've got master sergeants, first sergeants, master gunnery sergeants, all peppered throughout my entire family tree. Every single one of them are Marines. So I grew up in a strict family, if that helps anyone. But while I haven't served firsthand, I grew up with a front row seat to the lifestyle, the sacrifice, and the pride that comes with military service. It's one of the reasons I care so much about making sure that we get this whole event right and getting this entire thing right. And it's why Blue Halo is creating a space like this to highlight the real stories, the needs, the opportunities for veterans and military families. Now, before we go any further, I want to introduce someone who's been a big part of making tonight happen. You're probably looking at him in the screen right now. He's my teammate, he's my colleague, and someone who shares the same heart for helping the military community. And that's Guillermo. Guillermo, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, everybody. I'm Guillermo Yanez, and I am a technical recruiter in Albuquerque. I work in products in space. So we're always looking for good optical engineers. Just got to put a plug out there.
I love
But
it.
yeah, Tony, I agree with you. That's one of the reasons that I love Blue Halo. Not only is it a company that finds that diversity is important, but it's a company that also thinks that taking care of our vets is important. And
Right.
that's something that really means a lot to me. So yeah, we're really looking forward to this event. We have some great guests tonight, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, I appreciate that, Guillermo. I couldn't agree with you more. So, for those that don't know who Blue Halo is, let me kind of take a minute to kind of tell you who we are and what we're all about. So, we are a mission-first defense and intelligence company. We are building next-generation tech in directed energy, space, cybersecurity, AI/ML, and a whole lot more. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that we do, but at our core, we're people first. Veterans aren't just a part of our workforce per se, they actually help lead it. And what we're building here specifically isn't just technology, it's culture, it's connection, it's long term career growth in a place where your service is valued and your skills translate. And that's why we're doing this event tonight. It's not just about trivia, it's about creating real connection, sharing real support, and making sure you walk away with some kind of value. Now, a few quick things before we dive in. This session, it's for you. We're doing this specifically for you. So please drop your questions, drop your reactions, or drop any kind of comments that you have in the chat. We want to hear from you. The more that you engage with this, the better this event is going to be for you. Okay. Guillermo is going to be keeping an eye on the chat and myself as well throughout. And we're going to be bringing forward all the questions during the discussions that we're going to be having today. And at the end of the night, we're going to be doing Veterans Trivia, which is what we've been promoting this whole time. And if you stick around for Veterans Trivia, we've got a $15 DoorDash gift card for everyone who stays and plays, and a special prize for the top score. Now, you're not going to get a plane, you're not going to get a house or a car, anything life changing like that, but you're going to get something really, really cool. And we'll talk about that towards the end here. Now, just make sure to drop your first and last name in the chat during the trivia so we can match you to our RSVP list and make sure you get your gifts. So we'll talk about this. We'll reiterate this right before we kick off the trivia. And before we dive into that, we'll just let you guys know everything that you need to sign up for the trivia. So cool. All right, let's get into it. Guillermo, the stage is yours. Take it away.
Well, everybody, I'm really excited. We're going to be introducing Kim Murphy. She is one of our great recruiters here at BlueHalo. Hey, Kim, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Kim, you're going to talk about some of the initiatives that we have for hiring veterans. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you first before you dive into the meat of your discussion?
Sure. So my name is Kim Murphy. I am a senior recruiter and our military and veteran liaison. I'm also a Navy spouse of 17 years. The Navy most recently dropped us in Denver, Colorado, which is by far one of the nicest places that we've been. So I've been fortunate enough to be able to see kind of how these military transitions go and affect the family, and then also on the career side and how people navigate that process as they look to transition into civilian type positions.
Nice. So they dropped you in the port of Denver. I had a cousin who was in the U.S. Coast Guard and spent his last 5 years in White Sands Missile Range, which if you don't know, White Sands is about in the middle of the desert as you can get.
Yes. Fortunately or unfortunately, either way, my husband's a pilot. So while he is in the Navy, he doesn't necessarily need the water access that a large majority of Navy people do.
Right on. Hey, so why don't you tell us a little bit about what veterans can do to ramp up their efforts to get into a place like BlueHalo?
Yeah, so kind of to Tony's point earlier, I definitely have some things that I wanted to touch on, but this is really for anybody that joined us. So if the things that I'm saying aren't resonating, or if you have questions, please feel free to drop those in the chat and we can make an about face and talk about the things that you really want to know about. Also, I wanted to kind of say that this is a little bit more geared toward people that are either getting ready to transition out of the military or have recently or in the process of. We certainly recognize that there are people that maybe have been in the civilian sector for some time and are also interested in joining BlueHalo. So please feel free to reach out, LinkedIn, email, if you have questions that way as well. But as far as kind of setting up the military and veteran transition, it is not one decision, but it's hundreds of decisions. And there's some confusion as to, am I using the right resources? There's pressure. Am I making the right choices for myself, for my family? Am I setting myself up well? And that doesn't even talk about the things that you don't know until you know. Obviously you're looking at your career direction. Do I want to keep doing the same thing that I've been doing in the military? Do I want to keep some aspect of that or totally change it and start going working for a nonprofit and painting flowers, whatever the case may be. For people that have done a lot of travel or deployments, is that something you're interested in? Are you most aligned with keeping the mission and the pay? Or are you now a little bit more interested in flexibility and being able to control your own schedule and your families? Another one that obviously is a huge one is, where do you want to live, right? So the Navy left you somewhere or the military left you somewhere. Is that somewhere you enjoy? Have you been promising your wife, family, friends, whatever, that once you've decided to retire out of the military, that you're going to go home, knowing that home probably doesn't look the same as it did when you left? There's an emotional and kind of an identity reset. Like, who are you outside of the military without wearing your rank on your chest or your shoulder? What does that look like? And then there's the benefits and the financial planning. Like, what is your VA disability going to look like? What is your rating? And by the way, I have to share this. There was a gentleman that I heard speak that he was a VA. He did the ratings for people that were looking to get their percentages. And he said that everybody should list bilateral lower radiopathy, which is like a pain or numbness or tingling that radiates on both sides of your legs, because that one qualifies high in terms of your VA rating. Just thought I'd share that little information. But, so as you're dealing with VA hospitals and things like that, like, do you need to stay close to that? What's best for your spouse, your career, your kids' schooling? If they had a hard time with these moves, is it best for them to stay where they're at? And then there's the logistics of actually separating. How long does it take to get my first retirement check? When do the VA checks start coming? How long does it take before my TRICARE switches to dependent TRICARE, and all those things that kind of go along with it. Me as a military spouse, so we are actually residents of the state of Florida, even though we live in Colorado. So when my husband retires, even though nothing changes for me, I will take a pay cut, because now I have to pay income taxes in the state of Colorado that I didn't before. I have to register my car. So anyways, there's so many questions and things that go into this beyond just what do you want to do for a career. And partially the reason that I'm highlighting these things is because as a transitioning military member, these are the things that you need to think through have the conversations, actually write it down on a piece of paper and decide, before you start submitting resumes, what are the things that you're willing or able to have some flexibility on? And what are the things that this is a hard stop for me. I can't, make my wife move one more time or she's going to divorce me. I'm being joking there, but the things that are really important to you. Are you okay with living in a smaller town, maybe knowing that the cost of living is a little less, but there aren't as many jobs? So you really need to think through some of these things before you start approaching recruiters and asking for help or looking for potential positions. So now I'm going to kind of shift a little bit to the things that BlueHalo does offer to support our veterans. So obviously we have SkillBridge, which is growing in popularity, not only for for fellows and for companies, but the DoD, as they are kind of looking to change some of the structure of the program to make sure that it's really and truly benefiting the service members, which is the intent of the program. So as of right now, we have 2 fellowships. Both are based in Maryland. One is a data analyst position, and one is more software engineering, that sort of thing. Both require a CI Poly at this point. We are looking to grow the program, and as we continue to talk to our hiring teams and areas that we may be able to bring in veterans that would naturally align with the work that they had been doing, but would allow us to help give them a broader perspective on kind of what civilian work looks like, even things as much as signing a time card daily, things like that we can provide some structure and some value and some education that way. So we are definitely looking to expand the program. I encourage people that are interested, please still reach out. There have been situations where we've had somebody with a very specific skill set that has been able to help support a team. We just recently brought somebody up in our Dayton office. So while we only have the 2 that are officially published on the SkillBridge website, the DoD website, we do have some flexibility if there's the right alignment. And having said that, in the next couple of weeks, hopefully our jobs will multiply and amplify, and we'll be able to add not only more locations, but more clearance levels and things like that. As far as I'm concerned, you as a service member, you only get to do SkillBridge once. So it needs to be valuable, it needs to be structured, it needs to be meaningful. So we spend a lot of time figuring out what that looks like on our side. We also have our veterans landing page, which is kind of a comprehensive resources for people that are transitioning. We are working to build that out. So my hope is that we can add something more with jobs that are specific to either MOUs or veteran specific roles that may help kind of bridge that language gap that can exist with civilian versus military language, some resume things, some frequently asked questions, how do I fit into this new world? How do I translate my military experience into civilian career? Those kind of things. So we definitely are looking to build that out. So please keep checking back to that one for more information. And then we also offer for our military spouses. We did a military spouse hiring workshop, which was really focused on resume building, interview prep. For a lot of military spouses, while we don't necessarily get to where our husbands or significant others don't get to decide where they get to go either, we definitely don't get to decide. So the remote work aspect is really big, or being able to connect with some sort of DoD office that you can transfer jobs within that way. So we are looking for another date and are looking to offer this one virtually this time. So hopefully we can connect with more military spouses that way.
I'm wondering though, Kim.
Yeah.
So you spend 20 years in the military, and you, in your mind, you start go. How does this translate into real world experience? What kind of advice would you give somebody who has that kind of trepidation getting out of the military and going, well, how does what I did on a Navy destroyer, how does that translate into the civilian world? What kind of advice do you have for that?
Okay, so I have 2 thoughts on that. One, they do have like MOU translators where you can put in what your MOU is, or they call it different things across different services, and it will give you some generalized idea. I don't know that they are as specific as maybe people would need them to be. They're a little bit generalized. And I say this with the biggest asterisks I can put in front of it, but in this specific instance, I do think that any of the AI tools, ChatGPT, things like that, can be your friend if you are putting the information as, here's what I did, tell me what this might translate to in the civilian world. And it can give you either some job titles, it can give you some skill sets, it can give you some things that might align. Please do not take what it said and throw it into your resume. Like, let me like that right now. But it is a great way to get a starting point because it does get the chance to go through and scrape all the things and find out where maybe people have made those crossovers. And another thing, which I can't overly emphasize enough, is your network. Obviously, you worked and served with people in the military who have gone to different locations, have either transitioned out or are working to transition out. There is a large number of people on LinkedIn, recruiters who want to, are willing to. Hire Heroes, obviously, is a fantastic organization that does a great bit of work helping people do just what you said. How do I translate what I did into what I want to do?
Are there also resources available for helping people rewrite their resumes to make it seem a little bit more familiar to maybe somebody who wasn't in the military, or maybe to explain some gaps in their service or anything like that?
There are. It goes all the way from free to we'll charge you a whole lot of money to do this for you. There's actually a few things that I can touch on quickly that I think would be things that people can think of as they're writing their resume. So the one that I get a lot is people will share their resume with me, whoever they've used to help kind of pull it together. And then they say, here, now find me a job. And I say, okay, that's going to be hard because, a resume is just a snapshot of things that you've done. It doesn't say whether or not you liked it. It doesn't say whether you were good at it. It doesn't say whether you want to continue to do that. There needs to be kind of those questions that I talked about earlier. You need to sit down and get clear on your goals first and then tailor your resume. On a lot of military resumes I see, there's a huge overemphasis on leadership. Is leadership important? 100%. Is that something that we value and know that we are going to get a strong representation of leadership in our military community? 100%. However, there is a fine line because leadership is important, but it's not going to be a substitute for technical expertise. So anything you can do on your resume to tell essentially the recruiter who's going to be looking at your resume, what problems did you solve? What work did you do? What tech did you work with? Does that translate to some other tech? Because I know the DoD is not leading the forefront of IT and have necessarily the most advanced programs, but what sort of program? Was it Linux-based? Was it Word-based? What sort of things are you working on that maybe would help align with the position that you're looking to take? The people that you led, how many people did you lead? What did you do? The metrics and the data are going to be much more important because obviously the leadership is important, but there is some assumption that that's going to come with military, just based on your experience. And then the other one I will say is speaking in acronyms. More than likely, the person reading your resume is not going to have firsthand experience. Even myself, my husband's, like I said, he's a Navy pilot, so I know the acronyms in that small little community of the Navy. Once I guess outside of that, I'm also going to look them up. So anything that you can do to either spell it out or just generalize it. It doesn't necessarily have to be, unless you were at the Pentagon working in the Oval Office. I think for the most part, you can generalize a little bit more what you did to talk more about the data and the metrics.
Very good. Okay, so I think maybe also that some veterans may be, a little bit nervous about contacting somebody because they don't feel like they're experienced or qualified enough.
Sure.
Because maybe they feel like military experience doesn't translate into civilian experience, even though generally we're the ones that make some of their most advanced weapon systems,
Right.
So any advice on that front?
So I will say, reach out, absolutely reach out. You're not always going to get a response. You're not always going to get the response you're looking for, but there is a large group of us who are happy to say, hey, listen, I don't have necessarily what you're looking for. Maybe that's not the roles I support, but here's somebody who is, and that kind of goes to the networking part. Let somebody else lead you down that road a little bit. But the other thing is sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So if you can share with me your desired location, if you have a clearance, like some of the skill sets you're used and a general idea of what you're looking to do, then I can start to have that conversation. Kind of like I mentioned before, if you send me your resume and say, find me a job, I can't necessarily comprehend all of the things that go into necessarily what it is you want to do. So help me help you, right? Isn't that the movie something? But the more information specific information you can give me, the more I can either connect you to the person that is able to help you or, maybe potentially be able to do it myself. But absolutely 100% reach out, because I think more often than not, our job as recruiters is to find the right person for the right job. And if you're not reaching out, then we don't know that you're there.
Yeah. And one of the things I think a lot of people don't necessarily know about recruiters is just because you apply for one job doesn't mean we may not be excited to get you over to another job that we think you would be a great fit for.
Right.
So there's the career page. If you guys are interested in seeing what we have to offer right now, go to our career page and check it out. Kim, thank you for your time. It was great talking with you. Is there any final words you have before we move on?
My last thoughts is that the transition for military veterans is not a race. It's a life change. So make sure you're taking the time to invest, to reflect. You're not starting over. You're just starting what's next. And we really want to be here to support you. So thank you guys for letting me have a minute of your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. That was some great information. Kim,
Awesome.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Kim, for your time. We appreciate you.
That was really cool, Tony.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of really good, valuable insight. I mean, I think we're kind of kicking it off really, really strong with one of our very own, Kim Murphy. Of course, you guys can find her on LinkedIn, Kim Murphy, and connect with her for more questions if you have them. So we have Chris Thomas here. We are pulling the curtain back, I think, on a group that has been instrumental in supporting our veteran community internally here at BlueHalo. Let me be clear about that. So Chris Thomas, if you could bring him on stage, Guillermo, he leads our HaloVets employee resource group. And at BlueHalo, supporting veterans, I think, isn't, I'd like to think of it, it's not so much as you're just checking off a box, if you will. It is a part of our identity. We don't just hire veterans per se. We invest in them. We build community. We create opportunity. And then we do it through HaloVets. So, Chris, I would love for you to share what HaloVets is really all about, how it came to be, and then maybe a story or two about how this group has supported someone during a transition, perhaps a relocation or a challenge, and we'll navigate the conversation and go from there.
Awesome. I apologize that my screen is dark. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can. Loud and clear.
Awesome. Well, some of my input will be really dovetail on what Kim was just saying. My personal passion is helping vets in transition, folks who are getting out of the service. And from my perspective, the transition begins really while you're in uniform, and even though I was a lifer dog the entire time I was in the Navy till the day I got out, setting yourself up for that next career, that next move is really important, but the transition really doesn't ever end. I was in the Navy for 22 and a half years. I was born into a military family, but that's just who I am, and I'm always becoming more of the transition really doesn't end. I'm always evolving, and for me, I'm always looking for opportunities to help veterans, and BlueHalo has been really an enabler for me in that mission. I'm going to go way off script because that's just what I do. One of the things that BlueHalo does, I'm in the Germantown, Maryland office, but about every other month or so, we are BlueHalo sits on the Transition Assistance Program TAP classes up at Fort Meade. I get to go up there and sit on a panel with other industry folks and talk to transitioning Navy guys, Army guys and gals, folks getting out from up at Fort Meade. I talk to them about transitioning, and I don't go there as a recruiter. I'm not a recruiter. I don't go there as a business development guy. I'm not a business development. I came to BlueHalo as a program manager, but I did my TAP class in that very same spot. And every other month or so, I go up there on BlueHalo's dime, and BlueHalo buys the folks in that class Jersey Mike's for lunch. So that's just one example of how HaloVets and BlueHalo really tries to give back into the veteran community. HaloVets started really when about 3.5 years ago was one of the first employee resource groups that BlueHalo founded. I got in sort of as a plank owner in Navy terms, really with 3 goals in mind. One is to make sure BlueHalo's taking care of our vets, that we're providing all the opportunities we can to that unique subset of our employee population. The second, and their families as well. The second is helping the HaloVets serve BlueHalo. Most folks in uniform, we don't typically stop serving the day we doff the uniform. We continue to want to serve. And there's unique ways that vets can help our company. One is looking at resumes for guys and gals who want to come work for BlueHalo.
Mm-hmm.
Another is when we submit proposals or do work for the government, is having a veteran in that community take a look at what we're proposing. I've personally been asked to write you look at Navy proposals, and I know Army guys do that. Other folks as well for areas of our business, or when we're delivering, if one of our scientists or technicians has a question that they don't have a military background, they'll come and see one of the HaloVets and say, "Hey, you were an Army medic. Does this resonate with you? What we're proposing?" And the third thing is helping BlueHalo and HaloVets give back to the veteran community writ large. We do Toys for Tots in the wintertime, Wreaths Across America. Probably the biggest thing that BlueHalo does that I am most proud of is the You Are Not Alone campaign for veteran suicide prevention and awareness. Spearheaded by our team down in Huntsville, Alabama, we've raised tens of thousands of dollars with events in the fall. In Huntsville, they coordinated with the local minor league baseball team and the local government. And in one year, they raised, I think, almost $20,000.
Wow.
Going to the baseball game and getting speakers. And they had a dunk tank where you could throw a baseball and dunk Jimmy Jenkins, the head of our armed forces sector. Really, really fun stuff. But then we replicated that around the company. We did work in Germantown and Colorado to really help to improve knowledge and awareness of a crisis that faces our veteran community. And I'm really proud of that. So when I talk to people about BlueHalo, I'm really jazzed about next generation cruise missile, counter UAS missile.
Mm-hmm.
Super excited about our space technology, but I'm really most proud of is what we do for our vets, internally, externally, and our veterans' families. We've got a lot of military spouses and sons and daughters, veterans as well. Yesterday, one of our colleagues, a program manager from where is she? I forget where she sits, but a program manager in the armed forces sector working in space. She ran the Boston Marathon, and her charity was a Semper Fi fund. HaloVets contributed $1,000 towards her charity and helped her raise over $15,000 for the Semper Fi fund as she ran the Boston Marathon. So I know that was a quick stream of consciousness and a straight off script, but super proud of HaloVets. Really excited about the stuff we do. We do cake cuttings for every service birthday, various locations all around the company. If we've got somebody there, I'm a Navy guy, but I am organizing the Army cake cutting here in June. And I will gleefully help my Air Force, Space Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, brothers and sisters as we celebrate those occasions. Did I answer the mail?
I love that we are going off script on this. I mean, I don't even really think that we had a script for this, but it just kind of, kind of opened this up with kind of peeling back the curtain a little bit, if you will, to discuss, what HaloVets means to BlueHalo and how it's such a key employee resource group for us. And just kind of letting people that are tuning in today watch what we do for our veterans and how much we actually care for them. The suicide prevention thing, it resonated with me because I just went to Daytona Beach, and it was Beyond the Brotherhood and Beach Jeep, I think was the organization, but they put on this event where you had to walk the Daytona International Speedway. It's 2.5 miles just one way around the lap. And we walked for what was it? 90 minutes, 98 minutes and 8 seconds. And the significance of that for those that are tuning in is it is a hotline for those to reach out and get some help. And that was something that I never really knew before. So it just kind of resonated with me that there's not just the HaloVets, but people across the country that really care about our veterans. And I love that we work for a company that has a specific group that is dedicated to that. So one question for you, Chris, and thank you again for joining us and spending the time. You can hear the passion in your voice. How does HaloVets maybe help bridge that gap between military life and working in the private sector, if you will?
So I think it's a number of ways. The office where I work in Germantown is there's only, I would say, maybe 10% of our population is former military. But HaloVets, we gather periodically. Maybe once every other month or so, we'll either do a happy hour or get pizza or lunch, or we'll bring in breakfast and sit down. And we're open to everybody, but really the vets get together. We also do events with the broader population, and it's really heartening for our vets to see the interest that the rest of our non-veteran colleagues have in what the veterans are all about. HaloVets is in some ways a linchpin or a keystone in the BlueHalo ERG ecosystem.
Right.
We cross-pollinate with the other ERGs, Women of BlueHalo, Black BlueHalo, the rest of them, purposely and trying to synergy is a terrible word, but really work with them to take these smaller communities and weave them together to make the larger community. HaloVets commemorated the 75th anniversary of the desegregation of the U.S. military. Did a whole trivia thing and presentation to folks that were interested, came online and recorded, and people watched it. So in many ways, I think it helps the veteran community understand that although the culture is a little bit different in the civilian world, that there's a place for us and we're valued members, especially at a company like BlueHalo. BlueHalo really, from my perspective, I worked for a few different companies, is all in on its commitment to the veterans. And I think HaloVets is one of the ways it's probably communicated and manifests itself most frequently.
So I'm going to throw a little bit of a zinger at you because I'm kind of curious to see if I can maybe kind of get the brain flowing some more here, because I mean you're doing an amazing job, and I'm just grateful for the insight that you're able to share with us. So maybe is it possible that you could tell us about a time maybe when HaloVets made a real difference in either someone that that's close or someone's onboarding? I mean, you mentioned you were a program manager, so perhaps it was someone's onboarding, someone's relocation, or even like a personal transition of theirs. Maybe maybe just kind of articulate what that difference is.
So, I mean, there's a couple easy ones. One, so the deputy general manager for our products and solutions sector, Danny Knowles, when he was transitioning, he's a career cryptologic warfare officer, 40 years in uniform. He joined the Navy when he was 17 years old, and that's all he's known. Went from high school to the Navy, and he was really battling with what to do next. And like a lot of us, you can go a bunch of different directions. I thought about teaching school. I thought about doing some other stuff, but my passion continued to be service, and that's what Danny's was. As we talked through his transition, I realized that he actually would be a really good fit for us in our intelligence sector. And I got his resume and paired him against a job I thought there with the intelligence sector, but it ended up being he got hired to work in what was then BlueHalo Labs he's now the deputy general manager. Was not hired for that at all. He came in as maybe a director, and he's already a senior vice president. Right. So he wasn't struggling in the sense of having a hard time, but he was really battling with what to do next. And for me, I had the latitude to spend some time with him, and so it wasn't like an averting tragedy story, but he's been with us now for 3 years, and it was a really, really, I think, a great transition. But there's been others, folks I didn't actually know in uniform, where through HaloVets and other different events, they've reached out to me, and I often offer through the transition assistance program to review people's resumes, not as a recruiter, but I'll review them, and oftentimes I'll provide them feedback. And I'd say, 8 times out of 10, I just give them their resume and they go on their happy way. But 2 out of 10 times, I find a resume for someone who might be interested in working for us or one of our competitive mates in the industry. So I don't know if I've got a great struggling save the day kind of story, but and then with new veteran hires, it's sort of an informal battle buddy system where I do look out for veterans coming aboard in the Germantown office or in the various parts. My job is around the company, so I do encounter new hire vets in different parts of the company and reach out to them and try to get them tied in with HaloVets where they are, because it is daunting. When I got out, people kept asking me, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do?" Well, my time in the military, no one ever asked me, "What do you want to do?" They said, "Here's what you're doing next." And that's a hard question for a military person to ask, because I'm used to being sent to a billet. Here's your job, do it. Not what do you want to do, define your job. And a lot of times we put our military folks in that circumstance where we give them a ton of latitude. And my small military brain doesn't work that way. I want to be put in a box.
Right.
But what's great about BlueHalo is they give you enough box that you're comfortable, but enough no lid so you can blossom and flourish, because I'm not doing at all what I was hired to do 5 years ago. Totally different work now.
It's amazing. You said something. There's a lot of the same question that comes out. It's what do you want to do? What do you want to do? So my mentor for many, many years was a drill instructor. He's a master sergeant in the Marine Corps. And he told me when I was in college, he goes, I'm not going to ask you what you do, because it was what I was always asked and I never knew how to answer it. But he goes, it wasn't until my mentor, his personal mentor, told him, he reframed the question, ask yourself, how do you want to live? Get detailed with it. Ask yourself, what direction do you want your life to go? And the opportunities will flow. And I think we can all say, for the most part, that we're probably not doing what we went to school for. I know sure as heck as I'm not, but that resonated with me, Chris. And so, listen, I wanted to maybe kind of ask you, if open it up to you, if there was anything else on your heart that you wanted to share with the audience today. I know we're coming up on the edge of the time here. We've got a few more minutes, but is there anything else that you wanted to share that could benefit and add value, more value? Not that you've not added value, you've added a ton of value, but maybe another tidbit there before we let you go.
So for those of y'all still in uniform, do your disability claim early, do it often. I wish I'd known that. Like a lot of us, I left behind folks. There are folks who I served with that did not survive their time in the military. There's guys and gals who are way worse off mentally and physically. But it's about my family and those around me. I filed that claim for them to ensure that, as I age and I get worse off in things, that they're taken care of. So put that pride aside, do your disability claim, get the rating. You probably don't feel as like you deserve it. Maybe I certainly didn't. But there's a lot of resources that you went out there. And if you need help beyond BlueHalo with that, I am on the Montgomery County Commission for Veterans Affairs here in Maryland. And that is one of the things I do, is help transitioning vets get their claims, but also all the other GI Bill things you're entitled to. I know that has nothing to do with BlueHalo, but that is truly my passion. So reach out to me. These folks will give you my contact info. I'm more than happy to help.
Man, Chris, thank you so much. You have been amazing. Thank you for dedicating your time to this event. Thank you for all that you do for the company and working with HaloVets. And man, we really are grateful for people like you that are a part of the organization. So I think personally, what you shared really speaks to the culture, if you will, that we're building here at BlueHalo, and we have been building for the last couple of years. And I think it's one that really values service beyond the mission and connection beyond the job overall. So thank you, Chris, for your time. We really appreciate it. And Guillermo, you are up next.
I have one last thing.
Right.
Yes, please.
I would be disingenuous and people wouldn't recognize me if I didn't end by saying, go Navy, beat Army.
That's awesome.
Mr. Thomas, thank you for your service. So one quick housekeeping thing. If you do have questions about what Kim talked about earlier, or Mr. Thomas invited you to reach out, we do have an email address here that you can use. to if you have any questions about any of the BlueHalo veteran programs. So thank you for that. And Tony, I'm excited to have Hire Heroes here.
This one's amazing. I mean, I know Hire Heroes does a whole lot, so I'm excited to have them share with our audience today.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring on Miss Amanda Brown. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Thanks for having us.
I think Todd is here, or will be here. Todd, can you hear us? There he is.
I can hear you.
All right. So I have a question before we let you introduce yourselves, because I know that Hire Heroes has a very compelling origin story, and I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about Sergeant Justin Callahan. How did that all happen?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So, hey, we started off in 2005, and the goal has always been to empower transitioning service members, veterans, and military spouses with the tools that they need to secure employment in the workforce. It's a great company, great journey. All the services are free. And again, that's everything from providing personalized resumes, interview preparation, LinkedIn assistance, one-on-one career coaching, job search, tips and advice. We got an internal job board that they can use. Also have a federal program where they will assist you with writing a federal resume. We have a women's veterans program that's focused on women veterans, and we also have a military spouse or serving spouses program that focuses in on our amazing military spouses. So we've got a lot of things here, a lot of tools at the ready. Again, all of our services are free; they never expire. So veterans can use it. Service members, military spouses, again, Guard and reservists, they can use it. Come back if they decide to pivot or change positions. But we're always here to help.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Todd. Amanda, can you kind of walk us through what the journey looks like working with Hire Heroes?
Sure. So it's pretty easy to register on our website. Just a couple quick pieces of information. You're able to right off the bat, provide information that would be helpful for us in assisting you with your career journey. So if you're a transitioning service member or veteran, send us that current resume if you've got one. Send us those evals and awards. We're going to do the heavy lifting there and do some of that military to civilian translation for you. Within a short period of time after registering, you're going to hear from a transition specialist, and that's my role. So you'll hear from somebody who wants to chat with you about what's your timeline like? What are your goals? How can we help? Where are you at in the process? And we're going to start to put together that resume for you based on your background and goals. And then from there, as Todd mentioned, there are a slew of resources that we offer, from mock interviews to mentorship, virtual networking opportunities, down to the nitty gritty of, hey, we did the thing, we've got the offer. Let's talk about salary negotiation. So from start to finish of the job search, we really are here to support, regularly follow up with you, and really be that teammate that you need in the job search.
Yeah, I would really encourage any veteran out there who is looking to use your services to really take advantage of the mock interviews, right? Those are some of the hardest things to get through,
Yes. I mean, and I'm a military spouse. So my husband is about to hit 14 years active duty in the Army. Go Army.
Wow.
So, a few more years left to go, even though he's got a professional resume writer at his disposal. But, with that, I've had to move around every few years and try to build that meaningful career. And let me tell you, going 2 or 3 years without an interview, you feel rusty. So I'm certain that when it comes time to transition from active duty, you might feel a little uncertain. It's a big unknown. The military doesn't have the same kind of interview structure as you find in the world. So yes, the mock interview is excellent. We connect you with one of our volunteer mentors to conduct that mock interview with you. Our mentorship network is huge. We have over 1,400 volunteer mentors across the country, across different industries. These are folks who may be affiliated with the military in some way. Maybe they served or had a family member who served, and maybe they're not. Maybe they just want to give back to the community in this way through their time and their expertise. So you would meet with them, run through some practice questions based on the types of roles that you're targeting. So you don't even have to have an interview on the books. If you just want to be prepared for when the call comes, let's get that mock interview set up and get some on-the-spot feedback so you feel really confident.
Yeah, that's a great service. Todd, what do you think is something that Hire Heroes offers that people would be surprised about?
Probably the one-on-one coaching that we do, or the reaching out to our corporate partners, similar to what Amanda mentioned. Just, we have a great network of volunteers, 1,400 of them, like she said. And again, across different career fields, different spaces, different points of their career, but they're on board to offer that guidance, that support, and the tips and advice that they need to successfully navigate through an interview. It's so important to know how to translate your skill set to that, job or that position that you're looking at, that you're looking to apply to. It's important to know how to translate your skill set, that quantifiable data, explain what you've done in the military, be able to break down those acronyms like Kim said earlier. All of that stuff is important for your interview, and just being able to translate and tell your story, right? That value proposition, that elevator pitch, 2 minutes to be brilliant. That's critical to be able to tell your story. And it helps the candidate relax right out the gate. If you're able to express your value proposition clearly and concisely, right? It helps you to relax for the rest of that interview. So, hey, we provide it for you, and we help with everything along the way. So, yeah.
Well, you mentioned partnerships, and you're not on our live show by accident, because clearly we partner up with you guys. So,
right.
Just so everybody knows. Amanda, what would you tell somebody who's feeling discouraged after getting out of the military and is feeling a little bit lost and reaches out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to tell you one thing about myself so I can answer this question. Before coming to Hire Heroes, I'm in my second year with Hire Heroes. Before coming here, I worked as a contractor for the TAP program when we were in South Korea. And so I, worked with transitioning service members every day, and the range of, reasons for leaving the service, it goes from one end of the spectrum to the other. And sometimes it's planned and sometimes it's not planned. And no matter where you are at, within that spectrum, it can be stressful. It goes back to that fear of the unknown. I think some of the best things to do are figure out what you can control. And some of the things you can control are the resources available to you and taking advantage of those. I'm a big advocate of start the TAP program on time. You got to get it done and take advantage of those resources, set yourself up so you can do a skill bridge, get that experience. You can't do that if you don't have the time to do so. And obviously, I'm going to say you need to register with Hire Heroes, because one of the best things you can have is somebody in your corner who's really invested in your personal journey and what your career search looks like. There's a lot of information being thrown at you during that transition. And it can be really helpful to have somebody who's going to check in on you regularly, who's going to keep on top of where you're at in the job search and offer those kind of specialized tools for you to be working on and utilizing. So I think it's just taking advantage of the resources around you and leaning on others who have been through the process. So keep in touch with your peers, your coworkers, people who have already left the service, and they're going to be some of the greatest people for you to lean on at that time.
Excellent. I'm gonna go back over to Todd for a second. We were talking about partnerships. You have a relatively captive audience here, Todd. What are some things that you wish private industry would do to step up and help veterans a little bit more?
Hey, listen, that's a good question. I definitely seen a different side of the spectrum as far as going from nonprofit to corporate. I think the main thing is I love the passion in the room. I can hear it in the room with BlueHalo team here on the call. It's just having a program in place, man, that kind of puts a focus on the veteran hiring piece. Not only getting veterans in the pipeline, but getting them hired, right? Getting them through the pipeline. That's critical. A lot of places, check the boxes, but I truly hear the passion here as far as just taking a veteran from start to finish. The veteran talent program that you have, and just embracing them when they come in the door. Everything from onboarding, to just making them feel ingrained into the team there at BlueHalo. So that's, to me, that's probably the most important piece, is to not just have a program in place, but, just have an authentic voice in the building that can speak for the veteran and kind of be the champion for the veteran. That's critical. And again, you all have it here. I can feel it. I feel the passion on the call. And it's definitely something that probably the candidates here that are on the call can feel. So yeah, man, that's critical.
Yeah. So I think that this question is for either one of you. So one of the things I think that we're facing as a nation, right, is if I were a veteran, last week I was in the desert somewhere in fatigues, and then I get a discharge, and here I am. What kind of transition services do you have for those types of veterans?
So are you referring to kind of a rapid change?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we work pretty quickly. So from the time your transition specialist reaches out for the first time to the time you get your resume is going to be, you call them on a Monday, you're going to have that resume by Friday. Oftentimes much faster than that even. This is what we do. We read evals all day. We do that translation for you. And also understanding that first resume is a starting point. It's going to be an evolving document. We're going to help you with tailoring, as Kim touched on. I loved hearing her talk about that. And we work with all kinds of timelines. So if you want to find a job in the next 30 days, or you want to find a job when you retire in 2 years, we work with clients within that range. I specifically on our serving spouses team, I'm working with military spouses who maybe they just came down on orders. They're planning ahead. They need a job in the next 90 days at that next duty station. That's a quick turnaround time and a challenging job search. So we, I think, really pride ourselves on our ability to be that point person for you and to help you find that next right fit.
Okay, let's get technical, Amanda. I'm trying to write a resume. What are some of the best tips you have for getting a resume put together?
I think that going back, if you have evals available to you, those are going to hopefully they're written in a way that provides you some accomplishment-based information, some quantifiable details that you can include. We can also help you with, if they aren't written down, trying to recall that or estimate that as best you can for a resume. Awards that you have obviously should say some nice things about you. And in general, when we're looking at perhaps a longer career, so maybe you're retiring with 20 years of service, as a rule of thumb, our resume is going to go back, as far as we can, understanding that most relevant experience, that most recent experience is going to be what's most relevant. But really, we can go through with you your documents and parse out those most important pieces of information. Again, understanding that you may shift gears. You may find yourself tailoring a resume for something that has nothing to do with your military background. So let's focus on those transferable skills, some of those soft skills, things like attention to detail, the ability to work within a team, having effective communication. There are a lot of things that probably overlap between roles that might feel different.
Okay, that's great advice. I like that. So Todd, if I'm ready to get into the Hire Heroes USA program, kind of walk me through, what do I need to do?
Yeah, so, first thing you would do is go to our website. You would click the red tab that says register. Once they get registered, ask you for some basic information. You can also upload your proof of military service, anything else that you have, your evals and things like that. Once you upload those, every Monday we bring in new clients. TS will reach out to you, do that 15, 20-minute phone call, kind of find out your current skill set, where you're sitting at. What's your timeline? What are you looking to do on the way out? Are you looking to stay with the skill set you currently have? Are you looking for a full pivot? Kind of get that information from you on the first call, and also talk about some of the documents you could have already uploaded. Again, some of those are things that we'll need to help get your resume straight. Once the call concludes, hey, that transition specialist will get started working on that resume. Same thing like Amanda said, usually it's a quick turnaround time, within that week or even 72 hours, we'll get that revised resume back to you. We'll have another call with you. That transition specialist will talk with you about that resume, some of the things they put on it. Again, that quantifiable data's got to be on it. So if something's missing, or if it's something that you feel should be added in, hey, that transition specialist will work with you to get it added. But once that resume is completed, after that, we're meeting the candidate where they're at. If you feel like you need, some mock interview preparation, we'll get you scheduled for that to help you kind of get straight with interviewing. We'll talk to you about the various job boards to use. Do you have a LinkedIn? If not, how to get that set up, get you a picture, get everything lined up as far as your, professional duty stations that you've been at and things of that nature, your job titles. And once they get that LinkedIn up and running, hey, that's when we can move on to things like, your one-on-one with the corporate partners, trying to get you a session, as far as your career field and getting you some more tips and advice. So really, it's just where that candidate is at. We meet them where they're at, and just take them from start to finish with the job search. So again, could be a short fuse as far as somebody just getting out in a week or 10 days or 2 weeks, to somebody that has a year and a half, 2 years left. We work with all the candidates in that spectrum, in that range as well. So, yeah.
Sounds good. Well, it looks like we're coming up on time, but I want to give either Amanda or you an opportunity to throw out there anything we may have missed, forgotten to ask, or you think might be important.
Go ahead, please.
Sorry, I do want to mention something that came through as a question. So, and I think this is a really, really good one. So what's your advice to someone who hasn't reached out for help yet because they feel like they should be able to figure this out alone?
You go ahead, Amanda. You go first.
Okay. I think that, go with me. I think we all have our strengths. I, for one, feel that I'm great at writing a resume, providing advice on your job search, setting you up with resources. This person, this unknown hypothetical person, they are great at their job. Perhaps they're in the infantry. I could not do their job, period. I couldn't, but I'm an expert at my job. And I think it's great to, again, lean on those resources and take advantage of them. And again, it's a challenging process. I call it a puzzle. There's so many pieces and moves that you need to make. So lean on someone who's willing to be that expert and willing to be that sounding board for you. And I think it's a great place to be.
Oh, man, amazing points, Amanda. And I would just say the two hardest things for a veteran to do, or a military member: one, ask for help; two, ask for help. It's okay to ask for help, right? I transitioned out in 2016, did 20 years in the Army veteran. Guess what? I got out thinking I knew everything. I went to my first career fair, flatline, right? So I initially reached out to Hire Heroes USA, right? That was my initial, reach out to say, hey, I needed help. I reached out to Hire Heroes USA. They provided me with a resume. Guess what? That resume I used to apply, and my first job post-military was with Hire Heroes USA. I used to be a transition specialist inside of Hire Heroes USA. So it's okay to ask for help. I was a seasoned veteran, had to ask for help as well. But and it's okay, right? Because it's something different. It's a total different journey from what you've been doing. Doesn't matter if you've been in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You're going to need help at some point. Take advantage of the help. I needed the help, and it's okay, right? Because getting out from the military, you only know what you know as a veteran, right? Mm-hmm. So reach out, get these tools that we got, all of these free resources. It's at your fingertips. I tell veterans the hardest thing to do is, number one, ask for help, but it takes less than 1 minute to register on our website. And we'll give you all the tools that you need to be successful, walk with you from start to finish. That transition specialist stays with you and gives you all of the resources you need to become comfortable and to be successful, right? We empower you during your job search to be, to secure employment on the workforce and, take care of yourself, your family, and anybody else who needs you. So, again, ask for that help, register. We're here to help.
Thanks. That was great. Okay, we have one question from the audience. Let's see if you can help us out here. How can transitioning military utilize military benefits for training or even certifications to prepare and enhance their experience?
I'll
Can
go.
you see it?
Yes, yes.
You don't want me reading all this.
No, this is a great question because whether you are looking for a position that aligns with your experience in the military or you're making a pivot, additional education or certifications can potentially really help your job search. I promise this is not a cop out to this question, but we have a training team as part of, another part of our team. And it really comes down to the particular certifications you're looking at, but they will help connect you with, if you're looking for IT certifications, if you're looking for project management certifications, HR, Todd, help me out. There's so many more, CPA, teaching. We send them the information that you're looking for, and they very quickly, again, within a couple of days, you will have a comprehensive list of either local or remote training opportunities in your area. So they are out there. And then in terms of timing, when to take advantage of those, it does depend on, each certification. Again, I know there are opportunities out there through different organizations that have, different windows of eligibility. So we'll provide all of that information to you so that you can see what is a good fit with your goals and your timeline and how that can match up together.
Very good. Okay, we have another one from Mr. Paul Vermelt. Are there specific jobs that transitioning military do well in?
Any career field that your background matches up well with. I'm telling you, we don't limit your capabilities. I know regardless of the side you're on, whether it's nonprofit, federal, or even corporate, hey man, military, we can do anything with that background. Military spouses, guard reserve, you can do anything, especially if you have that skill set. Again, I've been on the corporate side and I've seen, military across the board, all industries, IT, HR, engineers, UAS, any field you can think of, defense, contracting is limitless. Don't limit yourself. Military, with the military background, again, military spouses, veterans, you can do anything you put your mind to. Again, if you got those skill sets, we can help you realize your potential. Again, just through those conversations and those one-on-ones, help build that confidence and get you, not only pointed in the right direction, but you'll feel confident and comfortable throughout that career search with our guidance, that you can actually walk into an interview, translate your skill set, be successful, and not only just interview, but be one of the, the finalists and be selected for a role. So any industry, any career field, don't limit yourself.
That was a great answer. I appreciate that. Let's see. Any other questions out here? I think we're done. Todd, Amanda, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. And we hope to develop a long partnership with you guys.
Tony,
Thank you so
Guillermo,
much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for sharing. All right. Cool. So let's shift gears and have a little bit of fun as we head into the final segment of the evening. It is time for Veterans Trivia Night. I wish I had kind of like a, one of those little buttons that you can press where you can have like the background noise. Guillermo, we probably should have planned for this.
Right.
Yeah. But okay, so here's how this is going to work. Okay. I'm going to share my screen here in just a bit, but I'm going to tell you where to go. It's called play.triviamaker.com. Guillermo, if you could put that in the chat for me, I'd appreciate it. You can do that on your phone, or you could pop up a new browser in your tab if you are on a desktop or laptop or what have you.
Tell me the link one more time.
So it's play.triviamaker.com. So I'm going to be sharing a game code live on the screen. When I share my screen, once you get into whatever device you're logging, you're bringing up that URL with, it'll have a box where you can type in this code. And once I start kind of seeing your names come through on my end, we're going to kick off the game. So make sure to use your first name and last name when you join, so that we can match it with your RSVP, that the list that we have that you RSVP to. So just to kind of preface this, we're going to be playing 20 questions, 30 seconds in between each question, unless all the questions come in pretty rapidly. And the person with the highest score at the end is going to win a grand prize. Now, I mentioned before, we're not going to give away a car, a plane, or a house, but it's going to be something really, really cool that that you'll appreciate. Probably something BlueHalo branded as well. But everyone who stays and participates will get a $15 DoorDash gift card. Again, just make sure that you've dropped your full name when you register during the trivia round so that we can verify it against our RSVP. And I'll put the code in the chat as well. So let's go ahead and test your knowledge, have some fun, close out pretty strong. And let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. I'm going to put the code in the chat here. That's actually really good background music. That's kind of relaxing. I don't know how relaxing I want the music to be right now, G. Let me see. 135453. That's better. 135453. Cool. All right. So that is the link to, or the code to get in. Let me go ahead and start sharing my screen so that we can get this going. Give me a second. Awesome. G, can you see my screen?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. We've got 3 players so far. Jordan, Paul, Ashley, thank you for joining. And we should have some more here that we can kick off. L. Hyman, appreciate you. Good to see you. I see Jessica on there. It's got a ... there. Emily, good to have you. We'll see if we can get all the way up to 10 here. We'll give it a few more seconds. Cool, Mike, good to have you. All right, we are going to kick this off in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. What is the name of the U.S. military's official hymn? All right, there's 6 left to answer here, 5 left to answer. Three left to answer. 2. Who's that last guy? The Army goes rolling along. That's amazing. Awesome. All right, looks like Jessica is in the lead. Elle is following behind, and everybody else, we're all everyone's got goose eggs right behind you. Now, don't worry, this is just for fun. So let's go to the next question. What is the name of the U.S. military's elite flight demonstration squadron? All right, looks like we got 4 left to answer. 3. Those answers are coming in quick on this one. It sounds like you guys might know what the answer is to this one is. There's 1 left to answer here. There we go. All right, it is Blue Angels. We got Mike Knowles, who's in the lead. Jess comes in second. And then, of course, Emily. Now we're starting to rack some points on the board here. That's exciting. Okay, which famous memorial honors fallen Vietnam veterans? All right, one left to answer. And if you guys can't see, here at the very top, there's this bar with the timer, just FYI, if you're wondering. So we're waiting for the last couple of people to answer before time runs out, and then it'll pick right back up. All right, looks like we're just about running out of time here for this one. Okay, Vietnam Veterans Memorial. Let's see who's in the lead now. Emily Rule, congrats. You just took first place. Ashley's in second. Paul is in third. Jess H is in fourth. And then Elliot. So I don't know who R. Drucker is. Oh, I think I know who that is. I think I need this person to start getting some points on the board here. Where is the National Veterans Memorial and Museum located? Couple here left to answer. About 10 seconds left, guys. Three, two, one. Columbus, Ohio. Awesome. Got a couple more questions here to go. Which military branch operates the U.S. Coast Guard in peacetime? Five left to answer. Three, two, one. All right, Homeland Security. Let's see what the results are. We got Ashley at the top, Paul second, Emily third. I mean, I love that this is kind of changing, you know, the hands, I guess, if you will, in terms of a ranking. Okay, what document officially ends a service member's active duty? Awesome. We've got a little bit of time here. 3, 2, 1. DD form 214. All right, so we got Jess H that just took over second place. L. Hyman just took third. Paul, you're going down to the fourth here. What is the official motto of the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs? Sweet. 4 left to answer on this one. We're about halfway through here. To care for him who shall have borne the battle. All right, awesome. Looks like Ashley is still firm in the lead here. Who is eligible to be buried in the Arlington National Cemetery? I think this one's pretty straightforward and easy to answer. We got 2 left to answer now. Active duty and honorably discharged veterans. All right, Paul's back in second. This is exciting. This is really tight. What does POWMIA stand for? Got 2 left to answer. Awesome. Oh, we stayed tight on that one. Interesting. Which U.S. military branch was established most recently? Space Force. All right. We're staying pretty tight on this one. It's not the last couple of questions.
The leaderboard is not changing.
Is not changing for the last couple of ones. Which medal is awarded for combat wounds?
I'm trying to resist not answering these out loud.
Put your mic on mute.
I'm trying not to even mouth the answer.
All right. Purple Heart. All right, let's see what the leaderboard looks like. All right, Paul's in the lead. L. Hyman took second. Ashley, you kind of went down to third here. All right, let's keep going. We're just about done with some of these questions. Which branch of the U.S. military is the oldest? All right, it's the Army. All right, Jess, I see that you switched spots with Mike Knowles. Okay, which president established Veterans Day as a national holiday? Dwight D. Eisenhower. Oh, not a lot here. Jordan Westfield just took the lead for fifth here. Okay, what organization helps veterans transition to civilian jobs? This one should be pretty simple, guys. Hire Heroes USA. We had to put a plug in them for that. Awesome. All right, Jess just took third place here. I see that. We're pretty tight on this. Okay, which U.S. war had the highest number of American casualties? This one's a tricky one. Civil War. L. Hyman just took first place. You see that?
Ooh, Elliot. Moving on up.
In what city is the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier located? Couple left to answer. Arlington. Awesome. That's holding tight. No changes there. What year was the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs established? Do you know the answer to this one, Guillermo? $1989. All right. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some lead changes here. Okay, maybe one. Jordan's in the lead here. He just took fourth. He overtook Ashley there. I just saw that. Everyone else is still holding tight. Veterans Day was originally known as what? Armistice Day. Oh, okay. So there's a battle between Ashley and Jordan right now, between 4th and 5th right now, but first through 3rd is holding on pretty tight. Okay, which war began after the attacks on September 11th, 2001? All right, Iraq War. Paul just took the lead.
Oh, good job.
All right. Which branch of the military celebrates its birthday on November 10th? I think that might have jumped ahead, guys. All right, El Hyman just won that one. Congratulations, El.
Elliot, the quickest with the fingers on Google.
He's
Kidding,
the quickest.
Elliot.
He's the quickest. That's for sure. That is for sure, without a doubt. Cool. All right, guys. Thank you for joining as we wrap up tonight's event. I just want to say thank you for showing up, for your service, and for allowing us to spend time with you this evening. You know, we hope that you got something meaningful out of this, whether it was a helpful tip or an inspiring story, or even just a moment to connect with people who understand the journey. So a special thanks to Kim, to Chris, to Todd, to Amanda, to Guillermo, and the entire team behind the scenes who made tonight possible. And I want to give a huge shout out to Paul from Melt and our amazing Marcom team. Your support makes all of this run so smoothly. And of course, to Ramona Drucker, thank you for your vision in creating this event and making sure that it served the people it was meant to support. So if you're interested in learning more about our opportunities at BlueHalo, go to bluehalo.com/careers. Or if you want to talk to someone one-on-one about your next career step, just drop us a message on LinkedIn. Or reply to the RSVP email that you should have received. We're here for you, and we'd love to connect. Until next time, take care, be well, keep moving forward, have an amazing, amazing night. We'll see you guys. Take care.
And to all the veterans out there, thank you for your service. We really appreciate you. You guys have a good night.